All right, good morning. It's great to be here at the Santa Rosa Correctional Institution. We've got a great announcement today when it comes to law and order here in the free state of Florida. Honored to be joined this morning by our great Secretary of Corrections, Ricky Dixon, Sheriff Bob Johnson from Santa Rosa County, and from my team, our Assistant Statewide Prosecutor, whose lead on the case we'll discuss today, Guillermo Vallejo. He'll be speaking as well. We're also joined by Daryl Sherry, Chief of Criminal Investigations from the Office of Inspector General at the Department of Corrections. We thank him and his team for their great work on this case. Today, we're here for another announcement on our career criminal crackdown. On the rest of the country, you see these barbaric and violent crimes, brutal murders in public transportation, illegal immigrants that have unfortunately taken innocent lives. And so often we see it's people that have been repeat offenders, that have been in and out of the criminal justice system over and over again. Well, here in Florida, under the leadership of Governor DeSantis, Secretary Dixon, and my team, we're going to make sure that Florida is not a revolving door for our criminal justice system. We are going to be prosecuting people to the fullest, handing out strong sentences, and ensure that we are keeping dangerous people away from our families. Today we're here to talk about a guy who was driving drones, dropping drugs, breaking the law, and continuing to provide illicit contraband to people behind these fences. Mario Crawford just landed an 81-year prison sentence after we caught him dropping drugs into this correctional institution, and our investigation is revealing that he probably dropped packages into dozens of other institutions across the state. On this specific case, he dropped illegal narcotics, cocaine, meth, cell phones, SIM cards, tobacco, and razor blades, undermining the penalties that the people in these institutions face, jeopardizing the security of the brave men and women that guard these facilities, and ultimately continuing to foster illegal activity behind these gates. All in all, the contraband that he was providing that we found so far, and there will probably be more, valued over $1.5 million. Here's the important part. He had previously been convicted of 49 prior crimes. Yes, I said that correctly, 49. You'd think after 3 or 4 or 27, maybe he would have learned his lesson, but no, 49 prior convictions. So what we dropped on him today was an 81-year sentence. He will spend the rest of his life behind bars, and we want to send a message today that if you're a repeat offender, if you're going to engage in this crazy drone driving process to continue to breed illegal activity behind these prison gates, we're going to throw the book at you and we're going to prosecute you to the fullest. Here in Florida, we do not have a revolving door criminal justice system. So today, this individual's being charged, or he's convicted for possessing contraband at a state facility, conspiracy to introduce contraband at a facility, trafficking, illegal use of a drone, and use of a two-way communication device to commit a felony. The career criminal activity stops here. Our prosecutors have their marching orders. We're going to put people away for absolutely as long as possible. So if you're a criminal, I suggest you find a new line of business before we get you. Stay away from Florida. If you want to come in here and do wrong, we will punish you to the fullest. So I thank our great investigators and law enforcement officers that worked on this case. This was a big one. I think it sends a message to other people across the state that might be looking to get into this dangerous business. Do not do it. And finally, I want to thank our corrections officers. This is tough work. Just as our, police deputies, sheriff's deputies might be the tip of the spear when it comes to fighting crime and protecting our families, these guys are really the backbone of our criminal justice system. It is tough work protecting and housing these dangerous, violent people and keeping them away from the rest of society. But somebody has to do it. It's been great to see Governor DeSantis and Secretary Dixon really improve, I think, the state of affairs for our Department of Corrections. Again, we're not trying to provide Ritz-Carlton hotels. We're trying to provide secure establishments and get corrections officers the pay they need to continue to do the Lord's work. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank them. I really appreciate them putting their lives on the line every single day to keep the dangerous away from our kids. So with that, I will turn it over to Secretary Dixon.
Thank you, Attorney General. I just want to echo his comments and thank and recognize the correctional officer and the staff standing behind me. They represent 17 or 18,000 across our state who work tirelessly to keep contraband out of our prisons. That's getting more difficult to do because contraband is not just coming through the gates and through the fences, but over the fences with the use of drones. Attorney General Uthmeier has been extremely aggressive, and we can't thank him enough and his staff and the state prosecutors across the state for sending a message, not just here in Florida, but throughout the nation. This is a nationwide problem. The irony in this is it's not just drones dropping drugs and various contraband, but drones also drop contraband cell phones, which enable a lot of the inmates to continue their criminal enterprises and put in danger not just the staff behind the fence, but citizens in the community. They use those cell phones to scam the elderly, to continue all kind of criminal networks, especially the cartels and the gang leaders. A lot of that crime in our community is orchestrated right here behind our fences. So this kind of aggressive approach is exactly what we need to keep Florida safe and to keep our prisons safe. I want to thank Christy Dolan, who heads up our Bureau of Intelligence, who kind of initiated this case through the use of some technology and being diligent in her work. She partnered with our Office of Inspector General. Very appreciative to Daryl Cherry, who's standing here behind me, our IG Ken Sumter, and our partnerships with local law enforcement, just like here in Santa Rosa County, Sheriff Johnson, Chief Deputy Randy Tift. And again, that's representative of our relationship throughout the state and everyone working together just to keep not only our prisons safe, but our communities as well. So I'm just here with a grateful heart, and I thank everyone for taking this so seriously, again, especially our Attorney General, in letting us be a state who leads and sends a loud message that we're not going to tolerate this kind of criminal activity in our system. So thank you again, and appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Thank you, Secretary. Here in Florida, we've had an explosion of growth, a lot of money coming into the state, people coming into the state. These two things typically go hand in hand with an increased crime rate, but not in Florida. Our crime rate has continued to reach historic lows. We're getting the data in from 2025, but it looks like it's going to be another great year. Double-digit decreases in violent crime rates, murder rates. Fentanyl, which was truly the new warfare we were facing a year ago, is truly plummeting. And that's in large part due to our sheriffs. We've got the best sheriffs in the entire country. They are the king of their counties, and they make sure everybody knows if you're going to get into some mischief, you're going to pay for it. So it's an honor to serve them every day. We've got Sheriff Bob Johnson here today.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate the invite, and what a great day to be a Floridian. So another scumbag goes to prison. In Florida, as the AG was saying, we have low crime rates, and there's a reason for that. We have great citizens, we have great deputies, we have great police officers, and we have Florida DOC. And you don't get to see the DOC guys and gals very much. They're not the tip of the spear, but they protect the spear. So I call them unsung heroes. You don't get to see them out and about, but they do a job. And if they did not do their job, Florida would be currently like California or Washington or Oregon. And we all know how those states are right now. So we have a progressive governor, a great AG, and I think Florida is the tip of the spear for the country when it comes to law enforcement. Other states are doing things that we're doing because we started it. And this is just a great state and a great country now that we have President Trump in office and a closed border. So I just want to thank the AG for his service and the Governor DeSantis for his as well. And thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.
All right, and last but not least, the prosecutor who'll be bringing the heat here on this and other cases, Guillermo Vallejo.
Good morning. I just want to say, from the top, that, this is a team effort. It starts with the Attorney General, with the tone he sets at the top, also with law enforcement, sheriffs all across the state, but also with this case, DOC, Secretary Dixon and his outstanding staff, and the analysts and the IGs, that they were phenomenal to work with. As prosecutors, we can't do what we do without law enforcement and DOC helping us every step of the way. And also our great statewide prosecutor, Brad McVeigh, and our chief assistant, Brian Fernandez, who ran point on this case. And I think the judge at sentencing said it best when he said that the conduct was outrageous. And that's why Mr. Crawford got the 81 years that he deserved. And we're talking about a guy who dropped drones on 2 facilities, crashed one, and the other one, thankfully, DOC staff was able to stop it before it just flew away. And what you had was, as the AG said, drugs, razors, phones, tobacco, fingerprints on 2 drones. And what the jury also got to see was text messages between Mr. Crawford and another inmate who not surprisingly, serving life for murder, talking about their drone conspiracy, talking about guard shift changes and when to come in and when to drop the products and when to do the drop. So this is a great outcome. It sends a message that this is not tolerated in the state of Florida. And frankly, as I see it, this is only the beginning, because people are starting to realize that you just don't come to Florida and you don't pull this stuff.
Thanks, Guillermo. So I'll conclude by saying, again, this is not the first and not the last day that we'll be highlighting our career criminal crackdown. Here in Florida, we're continuing to ensure that we're shifting the culture, that our brave law enforcement know when they bring in bad guys, our prosecutors are going to lock them up for as long as possible. Their work is not in vain. We are going to enforce rule of law, and we are going to protect our families and our little ones at all costs. And again, thank you to our corrections officers. Thanks for the work you guys do every day that not many people get to see. I'm glad to get to see a little bit of it, and you've got my support always. It's a little windy, but if there's any questions, I might be able to take a couple. All right, we'll be around if anybody has any questions about the case. Thank you. Oh, you got one?
Yes, sir. Is there any indication that this guy acted alone? Was he teaching anybody else while he was out in the field, if you will?
Guillermo, if you want to come and add anything, what I'll say is we're still investigating. It appears the packaging that he dropped here looks a lot like packaging that we're finding at facilities all over the state. So to the extent he was working with others, we will find them and we will crack down on them too. There's also other people that have been engaging in similar behavior. We took down a drone in another facility just this morning, I'm told. So this is a new trend. We're making an example out of him today, an 81-year sentence. Everybody else should think twice before driving a drone over a prison facility. And we'll be working with the legislature, too, to see about heightened enhancements to make sure that we nip this behavior in the bud. Guillermo, any evidence about others working with him? I do think there's a RICO element here, right?
Yes. So some of them. So he was working with one that we identified that's serving life for murder in prison. That's why he was also charged with conspiracy to introduce contraband. And he was working with probably countless inmates on the inside who pay, because this was very valuable. Like the testimony came out that each of the phones, inmates would pay $1,000 per phone. So this was a very lucrative business that we were able to shut down.
Yeah, I think it's an important point, to highlight. A lot of these co-conspirators and cases are inmates that are currently serving time. That's why it's so important to keep the phones and their technological abilities away from them. Secretary Dixon last year cracked down a big case where inmates serving time were calling and spamming seniors, pretending to be family members and other people and really taking advantage of the kind generosity, the good hearts of our seniors who are always there to help others. We're not going to stand for this. We're going to protect our most vulnerable. And if you're already locked up, you got the shortest ride in the state to get back to your long-term dorm room. So, all right, God bless everybody. See ya.